You have now tuned into Insight Sundays, the show that brings you relevant news, youth topics with a new mission and focus for our communities. Here is your host, Adrian Mickens.
What's going on, Indianapolis? Welcome to another edition of Insight Sundays right here on AM 1310 The Light, presented by Harambe Productions. As always, we have to give a shout out to all of our sponsors, which are Andrew J. Brown Academy, Indiana Christian Leadership Conference, or ICLC, Buttons and Bows Hair Salon, Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus, New Vision Lighthouse Ministries, Inner Beauty Program Incorporated, New Breed of Youth, Lighthouse Academy Charter Schools, Providence Crystal Ray High School, Vitality Bowls, Beach Grove Bible Church, and Sam Ash Music Store. All right, Indianapolis, I know most of the time we have businesses come in or artists come in, but today I'm just going to switch that gear, and I'm going to talk about what's going on in our world. And specifically, the title for today's show is called The New Day in America. No longer, or I won't even say no longer, we couldn't before, but no longer can we ignore the injustices that happens in our justice system. Today in the house, we have two guests who's going to kind of co-host the show with me. They're young in age, and which is what I mean by millennials, much like myself, who are giving a new point of view for our generation and what we need to do to move forward, because we are the new leaders. We are the new next generation who's creating jobs and who's creating new paths and new ways for the new generation who's coming up, which they call them Generation X or Y. I guess they haven't given a definitive name just yet. But in the house today, we have Ryan Wilson.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right. And also we have Mr. Andre Fuller.
Cool.
All right, come on, just a little bit to the mic there for me. I appreciate it. Appreciate it so much. All right, so let's just get right into it. You know, I'm not going to procrastinate or give this big, long monologue about anything. Time after time, we've seen all these injustice murders that's been going on, whether it's by viral video, whether you see it on cable television, whether you've seen something that happened 50 years ago. It really doesn't matter. An injustice is an injustice, period. And it all boils down to the institutions and systemic racism as what we hear and see today. So I'm going to try to do the best to break that down so that we can figure out ways today, because I have my methods, but my method is not always, I wouldn't say the best method, but it's a step into the right direction. And that's what our past leaders have done, is always given us a platform for a step in the right direction. You can't change somebody, let's just keep it elementary. You can't change somebody's mentality if their favorite color's been red all their life and all of a sudden now they like blue. See what I mean? That takes time for somebody who wants to do that. So vice versa in racism, if they're only used to their culture, you can't make somebody change their culture just to automatically like you the next day. So I hear time and time again on CNN and other places, we need to come down and sit to the table. So we're going to have this mass gathering of every Caucasian person in the world and every black person in the world. We give hugs and then go back to our home and everything is going to be okay. No, they're not going to like us any more that day than what they've done before. So the question is what do we need to do to change the system to work for us? Because it's institutes and systems that tear and break us down. Again, there's been so many murders, but one that just happened that is no different from any other one. But I think you just can't get no more blatant and disrespectful and a smack in the face to every African-American person who ever exists on this world to say that this was okay. I'm going to break it down all the way so people just don't think that I am just saying, oh, I'm black, and so I'm just, antagonizing this police officer. No, I'm not. I'm stating all the facts like what they say is when something happens, they always say, let's do the investigation. Mm-hmm. Let's see exactly what happened. You know, the video started 10 minutes. 10 minutes in, the video started. All right, so let's see exactly. I'm going to go down the list here and see exactly what transpired. So with Fernando Castile, okay, the offense was a broken taillight, okay? Do I stand correct on that?
Yes.
The offense was a broken taillight. All right. And I did some research on that and I said, okay, well, an offense for a broken taillight, is that pretty major. It seems, I wouldn't say kind of minor. It is important. It's a traffic violation.
Right.
People got to know when you're stopping, when you're making a turn signal. It seems pretty important. Okay. But then it goes back to the question, is it that important to kill somebody for? Obviously, the answer for that would be no. I was definitely raised, especially by my father, that, get a little bit of echo, Antoine, that you don't put property in a place of a value of a person. Okay, so that's an equipment. It's what it's called in police forces, the equipment malfunction. Okay, that he got shot for. Okay, for a tail light. I did some research on that, and a ticket for that is about $100. That's court fees, everything. You're looking at maybe $100, depending upon which state you live in. So again, I say, is that worth getting shot for? Obviously, the answer to that is no. Okay, so let's come down a little bit more and let's actually get to what he was charged for. He was charged for second-degree manslaughter. That's what he was charged for. Second-degree manslaughter, and also endangering his girlfriend and his 4-year-old child who was sitting in the back seat. Now, if you come into the mall and open fire, they're going to charge you in a store. They're going to charge you for whoever you shot, plus everybody else who was in the store, because that's, you attempted to put their life in danger too. Okay, so of course, all that being said, he got acquitted of all the charges. Every single solitary charge he got acquitted for. Now I said, okay, well, like they always say, let's watch the whole entire video. So the only video that we had ever seen was when his girlfriend, which her name was Diamond Reynolds, actually started the video. Okay, so she started when the police officer already had his gun pointed towards him. Now, I'm going to be honest. Obviously, we're all African-American, and we know when we get excited about something, we get very vocal. That's just our culture. Every culture has their way of expressing themselves. We get very vocal. We get, I won't even say aggressive. We're just loud sometimes when we want to do stuff. We play our music loud. Everything has to be loud. That's just a part of our culture. So I said, well, was he loud? Because I know how our culture could be. Were we loud? Was he yelling at him when he first pulled him up? Was he interrogating him? Like, what you pulling up to my car for, bro? You see what I mean? Like, maybe he said some of this stuff. But then they came out with the cops' dashboard camera that showed everything in its entirety. Showed him driving on the highway when he was following him for almost 3 or 4 minutes until he pulled him over. From scratch. We had the video from scratch, okay? It started off like a regular traffic stop. Literally, it did. I don't know. Did you get a chance to see the dash cam video, Ryan? I don't know if you did. You did, okay. Did you get a chance to see it too? All right. So both of them had an opportunity to see it. So it started off as a regular stop. All right. So he's walking to his vehicle, and he knocks on his window and he rolls it down, and he says, can I help you? Well, not can I help you? I'm sorry. He says, license and registration, all that good stuff like that. And in the midst of them having a general conversation, he lets him know that I have a firearm. Not, man, I got a firearm, bro. None of that stuff. Hey, I have a firearm. I'm just letting you know. It's I don't know if he said specifically if it was in his waist or in his pocket, but I have it. I'm going to reach for what I need to get, which is my license and registration. Literally, we all know, the Drake zone, 0 to 100 real quick. All right. That's exactly what happened. It went from 0 to 100 real quick. It went from 0 to 1,000 real quick. After he began to reach for his license, immediately he shot him and started yelling as though nothing was calm before. Literally. You cannot get more blatant than that to say that was not profiling. But then it gets into a point where I say, okay, did he just shoot him because he was black? And the answer to that, to me, is yes. But why did he do that? That is self-taught that a black man is scary. And I'm just being realistic. It's self-taught that a black man was scary. I believe that officer probably had black friends. But at that moment in time, from his cohorts around him that he's seen before or done things before, I believe that he now had a fear factor in his mind. I have a black guy that I pulled over, and he's reaching in his pocket. So am I going to die or he's going to die? The other officer, I mean, he just took his like nothing was even going on. He just walked around the car like la 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 la, like nothing was even going on. So Ryan, my question to you is, as a woman, if you were in that vehicle watching your African American male be executed right in front of you, if you had a daughter, I know you don't have a daughter, if you were your children, just say your children in that way, what would go through your mind, and what would be some of the things on how you would handle that situation?
Well, anyone that knows me knows that I have a very colorful personality.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I can be dramatic at times.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I don't know if I could have been in her shoes, because he told her to keep her hands on the steering wheel the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And if I see my king is hurt, I'm going for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to press. I'm going to try to hold those wounds. I'm going to try to react.
Yeah.
I'm going to react. I know myself.
Yeah.
And so I think that if I was in her shoes, I possibly would have died also,
Mm-hmm.
because your natural instinct is to cover your partner.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That's just natural. So the
Mhm.
fact that she even held it together the way she did,
Mm-hmm.
to me, she did that for her child.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if her child hadn't been in the back seat, I think that she just would have automatically went to kind of help him and nurse him.
Yeah.
I just think that's something that we naturally do. So I couldn't have been in her shoes, because I probably would have died also.
You would have been executed too. And you know, it's funny that you say that, because I believe in the same thing. There will be no way. I think it was an incident that happened in Houston where it was a police officer who was at a pool party. I don't know if you've seen that one too as well. It was a pool party, teenage pool party, and got you know how teenagers are, and they begin to run around and stuff like that. Anyways, the neighbors called on the pool party, and so this particular police officer attacked this young black girl. Now, not to say again that she could have not done anything, but the forceful nature that you took as probably a 30-some-odd-year-old officer with a 13-year-old girl, man, that's not cool. And I'm telling you, for me, that would not fly. I just had a daughter this year. It would not fly. Much like Ryan said, I would be dead too. If you attack me, it just is what it is. I'm just going to say it plain as day, as it's black and white, because I'm not going to watch me or anybody else, especially if you're part of my family, be attacked or murdered in that way. Because to me now, this case sends a signal. And this signal is loud and clear, and it says that an officer's life is worth more than a citizen, not just black people. It said it's worth more than a citizen. And that is my $1 million question, is why is that now the question, that a cop's life is worth more than a citizen's life? Because you say that we're going to get fair trials. You say that it's going to be work out in the legislative judicial system, let it take its due process, and we do it. This happened last year in 2016. They've had to grieve for that over a year up until this day, and then you slam them again in front of their face and say that this man is acquitted? I have a problem with that, a big problem. I'm going to swing this around here you just a second, because there was an officer in St. Louis. He was a black officer. It was an incident that was happening in front of his house, okay? And at that time, he heard it, and he went outside as an off-duty officer, grabbed his badge and his gun to help his fellow cohorts in the police academy. And he showed him the badge. He showed him everything. And one white police officer said, and I quote, he said, "I feared for my safety." And he shot the black police officer that was walking over towards what they were getting ready to do. You feared for your safety. So what do you think about police academy profiling?
Well, we always got to get something very understood about where we stand on this land. Just by using the word black to call ourselves black, that's not a nationality. There's no person or any country in this world that you can find where somebody says that they're black and you can find where that country is or where they come from. You can't find it. So when you do a history check on the word black itself, we're not crayons.
I know that's right. Yes.
Because I see objects in front of me that is of carbon, of color, black color. Me, I have a brown color.
Exactly.
But they refuse to call us brown.
Yeah, I was always confused.
They're going to hit
that.
us with a Negro.
Yeah.
And then they're going to hit us with the African.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just keep going back in history and using the actual word that they're using, it's been broken up into multiples of years when they came with different names of us.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to the 1800s, you get mostly Negro.
Yeah.
You get a little further, you get the African comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where is the word Africa come from?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just named after a Roman who conquered the land.
Mm-hmm.
So is it anybody on this world that's an African? No. So, and each of these words has a vibrational frequency. So if you have a negative effect on a word,
yes,
which black has obtained to it, and where it's owned from the religious entity, is negative. So if you keep calling yourself black, what are you going to obtain towards yourself? Negativity.
Yes.
So
I'm so glad that you spoke on that too with energy.
We
and
as a
frequency.
people find out exactly what our nationality is. Then you can move forward. Because if I take 100 people right now and swipe their memory, are they going to know where to go?
No.
They don't even know who they are, what to do, how to move forward. Just what you going to do? You're going to just do whatever whoever's around you tell you to do.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So that's what we dealing with right now.
You know, I'm glad that you said that too, because in church service today, one of our deacons was talking at this particular part of the service, and he made a great comment that said, if you do not, we were talking about, fulfilling your dreams and your destiny, but one thing he said for sure, he said, if you do not fill your time, somebody else will. Period. If you do not fill your time, somebody else will. They'll come up with creative ways for you to work for them. They'll come up with creative ways for you to do things for them. They'll come up with creative ways, and they meaning anybody else but you who directs your life under God's role and command. You have to listen to what he tells you to do and follow that. Otherwise, you will fulfill somebody else's destinies and dreams. And what is happening right now, so often that African-American people, we get into some, not all, get into a mentality state that I have to work for somebody else in order to succeed in life instead of having your own, creating your own. That's why I'm so pro entrepreneurship, because you can obtain this wealth for the next generation. I get so irritated when I hear that black people always says that, well, this race did this for their family or that race did that for their family, and they just had this lineage and legacy for years. And that is absolutely true and correct. And in so many ways, obviously, after slavery, we were taking our 40 acres and a mule from the presidents who were supposed to be and not to be. But listen, we live in a time now where you can get it and have it for your own. But the problem that I have is we say that, we do that, and we still do not put back finances back into the community for the next generation who's coming up. What do I mean by putting the money back? Let's be more specific. We have all these different things where we put stuff on and we hear young entrepreneurs say their dreams. But does anybody stand up and say, hey, here is $2,000 to start your business? Here is $5,000 to start your business. No, we want to talk about it. We want to have a lecture about how to do it. And the only person who's gaining success is the person who's throwing on an event, who's collecting ticketed money at the door.
Or he's lending out to invest.
So again, I say, are you truly saying that or putting something on, or are you truly really wanting to help the next generation? Because the bottom line, we don't have to have money to live, but it is going to take a little bit of money to have success that you want to obtain. So when are we going to start putting and circulating dollars in our community that we say all the time, that we preach all the time? If you tired of going to the Academy Award show and not getting that award, start your own award show. Oh, well, we had one. It was called the BET Awards. Much like, I don't know if it came on yesterday or it's coming on today.
Today.
It is today. The BET Awards is not what it used to be. It used to have prestige. To me, it was prestige. It did have that feel to it. And I'm not knocking any of the artists or anybody of that way. Not even by far. But I turned on BET. I don't even really, I'm going to be honest, I don't even watch BET like that. But I turned it on the other day, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they had a MTV show on BET showing one of their award shows on BET.
So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm turning on BET to get some black culture, I might as well just turn on MTV. So we already know that it's been bought out from another corporation or company. So I'm going to get on that topic another day because I want to make this statement here. Obviously, we know what's going on from a federal level. We know how we've been pretty much bamboozled right before our very eyes. Election after the election, and to whom he chose to be a part of his cabinet. We've seen every viral video as much as possible. We've seen every one of his selectees in his cabinet blatantly get discredited by other members of Congress or senators. We've seen this. Betsy DeVos, we've seen all this type of stuff. And still, they continue to move forward with all their plans on what they want to do. One in which is Jeff Sessions. Okay. And this is what I'm going to quote this specifically that he said. He said, fortunately, in recent years, law enforcement, and I want to say this before I read the rest, they're trying to reverse everything that Barack Obama did. Now, I'm going to say this too as well as for Barack Obama. Nobody is perfect. We try to make the best decisions we know how at that moment in time for whatever it is that's going on for everybody as a whole. But everything that he did was for the betterment for everybody, and for them to try to disrespect everything that he did as though it's everything that he did was wrong. That's what I have an issue with, because nobody is perfect and everything that he did was not perfect. But he said, fortunately, in recent years, law enforcement as a whole, I think, has been unfairly marginalized and blamed for unacceptable deeds of a few bad actors. So you mean to tell me the police force that goes out and walks up to a vehicle are actors? Or are they police officers? Because I'm confused. I thought they were police officers. So again, I say, blame for unacceptable deeds of a few bad actors. You got over 800,000 state and local law officers and federal officers in America. Imagine a city where 800,000 people are. You're not going to have people who make mistakes, who commit crimes out of a group. So we're not all perfect. So it is okay for your police officers or your federal police officers or any other state police officer to commit crimes because they're not perfect. But if a citizen defends themselves against a police officer, now we're a criminal. I have an issue with that. It's as plain as day, as in black as white, as what he just stated and what he just said. Again, which goes back to my question. Is a police officer's life worth more than a citizen? And that just answered my question to a degree in that note. I'm going to come down here because I know we got about 5 minutes left on this show. And I'm going to ask this question again, and we can kind of give a quick minute synopsis on it. I want to talk about black-on-black crime. And black-on-black crime is more than just physically, I'm going to shoot you and kill you. Black-on-black crime is psychology. Not only is white people, or I want to say white people, in a sense, just afraid of black people are afraid of black people. You can walk into certain areas and certain places if you're that one who went to Princeton or Harvard, and all of a sudden you don't want to be a part of, I want to say your culture, because maybe you didn't grow up that way, but you want to discredit who you are and what your skin tone is, whether you're brown, black, or whatever it is, be it the case that you are. You want to discredit your own race. We've seen plenty of superstars who've done that. One of the biggest one that anybody would hold to that light is Tiger Woods. And now he's found out what his true nationality is. You see what I mean? Like, just be
waiting for him to mess up.
We're not asking for you to be what they say, quote unquote, ghetto. Ghetto is what we say it as a state of mind and what you do and doing different things that doesn't represent what the culture should be is a version of ghetto. So we're not asking you to be ghetto. We're asking you to understand what you're doing and how you can inspire somebody as an African-American person. I don't have an ambition to play tennis. Never did. It's just fun to run around, and I'm that person that do it, and that was cool, and I'm back in the house, But Venus and Serena Williams, they enjoy what they do, and they're powerful in what they do, and they're inspiring to me in what I do in a different field to say, okay, whatever it is that they're doing, I want the drive. I don't want to do what they're doing because that's not my call, and I want the drive that they do. You know, they up 3 o'clock in the morning practicing swings, and we're in media. We need to be up 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning practicing, going over notes, making sure that we have the best show as possible. And so that's what we mean to anybody who has much success in the African-American community, is that you need to understand that you are a symbol that the younger generation is looking at to say, I don't want to be in your field. I don't want to do what you do, but I'm looking at you as a successful person that I can envision, much like what they did to Bill Cosby. All right. And I have a long thing on that one too as well, but I want to know quick your opinion on black on black crime, physically and psychology. Give it to me in about 30 seconds, 45 seconds if you can.
You have to retrain your mind. You have to correct yourself in the way that you think. Do some research. Willie Lynch taught us a long time ago how to hate each other, how to hate ourselves, and why other races hate us. So just do some research and start to retrain the way that you handle situations. Start to look at your brothers and sisters like they are your own, and stop dividing yourself because of your class or your skin tone or because of what you think you have. Because at the end of the day, if you get pulled over, you will get shot in the street just like anybody else because of the color of your skin. So you just have to be prepared, and you have to know what it is and educate yourself and understand that we are all in this together. And until we realize that, we're going to keep having the same problems.
Amen. All right. What we got?
I'm going to piggyback right up on her with the Willie Lynch. When you do your history, it was the black man who wrote the Willie Lynch letter. When you do your history, and it was a simple thing, but it was just ran in reverse to affect us. It was actually written in the opposite way versus Caucasians. So, like she said, until we do our research and come together and with love, we're not going to go anywhere until we get to that point. We got to get to that ground 1-0 straight at the bottom and make sure we get that love in order, get our education together, financial literacy together, and boom, right from there, you got to start.
All right. Well, once again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in to another edition of Insight Sundays. We definitely should have had a special edition today for almost an hour, and I hate that we have to cut this one short, but I may do a part 2 on these issues because there is a lot to talk about to restructure foundationally to get the African-American community to understand that we need to build up the next generation with education and wealth that will create more self-esteem and more pride for our community and our culture. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and we will check you guys out next week.